bucket.
Well guys, it's officially Power Tour season. My buddy and I are taking this newly built, somewhat sketchy, untested 1923 Speedway Model T bucket over 1,000 miles over the next 5 days. And guess what? Unfortunately, you're coming with us. Well, nothing like starting us off with a good cold start. Everybody's starting to put their kids to bed, and well, we've got neighbors upstairs, so I'd say we go ahead and fire it up. But before we do that, I'm a first timer for the Power Tour, never done the Power Tour, but when I started building this, the goal was to finish it before the Power Tour. I have yet to see somebody actually do it in a T-bucket. I've heard the legendary stories of doing a Power Tour in a T-bucket, but why not do it in probably one of the most uncomfortable, smallest, potentially Facebook motor, unreliable rebuilt setup that we got going on. But with that said, we're gonna pack it up once we're all done, head up to Indiana. Then from Indiana, we're gonna drive 200 miles down south to the start of the Power Tour. And then for the next 5 days, you guys are gonna tag along. But we still have a few things that we have to do on the T-bucket, so let's jump into that. Now, I almost forgot. I actually promise you guys a cold start here, didn't I? Checked everything, we're good to go. Let's fire her up. Surprised that alternator is actually still working there. Oh yeah. So we got a few things going on over here. Leaky manifold gaskets. We're just gonna push through with that, but we do need to go ahead and change the oil and do a few other little things before we actually hit the road to head up north. I did pick up a new belt, a few other little things, made some small adjustments, readjusted the valves. It no longer sounds like a typewriter anymore. Did some timing advance, and this thing, man, this thing has been woken up. So now that we got the cool part out of the way, let me show you a little bit of our Cadillac comfort level we got going on. We got a repurposed seat from the garbage for my buddy Ethan. He's probably gonna be riding high and mighty in that. I'm a little jealous. And then we've got a repurposed office chair set up here and a little piece of cardboard to stop the bolts from, well, you know, kind of hitting that tailbone there. Now for storage is gonna be an interesting one here. I'm still kind of juggling how I'm gonna mount everything. By the time we get on the road, we will actually have a setup. Thought about bringing the cooler. The cooler's not actually gonna come with us. It's just obtusely large. So we'll probably do a waterproof bag setup. Not sure what they're actually called, but we'll try a few different combinations before we actually get underway. As for storage, most of the stuff is gonna be stored behind the seat. We're probably gonna be one of the ones that are gonna have the least amount of storage, but I do wanna have just enough that we can pack a nice umbrella. But let's jump over to our list. We don't really have too much that we got to knock out here. And I think the only thing we got, we did our valve adjustments, we did our belt tension, we greased the front kingpins. Really all we got left is engine oil. I do want to dump that, but I'm going to actually strain it to see. It's the first, well, it's the first oil change I've done on this thing since I picked it up from the Facebook guy. He says he rebuilt it, but I don't know about all that. So we're going to find out. We're going to drop that. Got ourselves a brand name. Can't put a non-Chevy, non-GM oil filter in a GM motor, can we? So the motor originally came with a Fram on here, and this is the original one. Not obviously original for 1969, but original one that quote-unquote was rebuilt with. Now, it is a Fram. You know, frequent rebuilds are mandatory, or, you know, mediocre. Frams really are mediocre, you know, F-R-A-M. And it took me some time to actually find this. It's pretty obtuse, but ended up going with a little larger than life AC Delco one here. And seems these are actually starting to get harder and harder to find. A lot of the parts stores don't really seem to carry this, and they always tell you they can order it. I always tell them I can too. But I want to go ahead and drop the oil, but I want to strain it with a coffee filter and see if we actually have any particles that come out there. And then we'll tap that, pull that, fill the new one, throw it up, and go for a quick drive. So I'll tell you a funny story in a second. I went and got the tires balanced on the T-bucket again for the second time. And well, they told me that they were bad. You wouldn't think Mickey Thompson's would be bad now, would you? But I've been having this weird vibration coming from the front end. So took it in, went to another place, they wouldn't touch it, went to, you know, one of those hole-in-the-wall shops, and I thought it may have been the bearings or something weird going on, maybe bent rim. So they tried to do as much as they could, but it just kept taking weight. But look at the belt itself. See how the tire has a slight wobble to it? It's actually warped, but this one's not as bad. The passenger side one has a wobble to it. Look at that. So, called Mickey Thompson, and guess what they told me? Well, they're as is. So, we're just going to deal with it for the power tour. We'll see how they are tread life when everything's after the 1,000 miles, and then maybe look at an alternative. The rears are pretty good, but man, that brake we've been dealing with for the past couple months, it's back with a vengeance. But at least with the weight on there, it made it a lot better than essentially what it was. I wish there was a way that YouTube allowed us to take some wagers. What do you think? Metal in the oil or no metal? Let's find out. Throw that little filter on there. Just need a little sample. All right, let's see what we got here. I don't see anything, actually. This stuff looks really, really good. I don't see any sparklies, no glitter power, no nothing. Wow, I actually think we got lucky with this motor. Imagine that. You can actually buy good stuff off Marketplace there. Wow. Wow, very, very, very clean. Actually very happy with that. Oh, let's hope it makes it 1,000 miles. I'm guessing the motor won't break down. Hopefully nothing else breaks down. Just give the filter just a little love tap. You can get a good start going. Ah, wrong hammer. I like to pop a little hole in it. That way it doesn't make a mess. And you pull it off. Let that drain. And I really like to do that on the Duramax essentially, because when you go to pull that filter off that fram, that frequent repairs are mandatory little item there, it won't be full of oil, dump all over the place. This is a little easier than the ones that are mounted at, you know, like 45 degrees or completely sideways, and then when you pull them off, they go all over the frame there. What do you think? Yoked out gorilla put this on or what? Oh God, we need the tool. This is literally that one tool that you buy multiple times in your life because you can't find your other one. And then when you find one of them, a week later you find the other ones. Real nice. I'm gonna put this on. So I'm gonna have to give it to that fram here. Either the motor's doing good and it's healthy with no metal shavings, or the fram filter's actually working. Right. And then we won't be frequently rebuilding another motor. All right, so for this we're gonna use essentially Costco heavy duty diesel oil. I put it in the truck and it was on sale. So we're gonna put it in the T-bucket and it should work. Well, if it's good enough for a diesel, it's good enough for a small block Chevy 350 here. But about that oil filter, can this box get any bigger? I ended up getting a XL. Didn't realize how big it was. Probably bigger, well, good for a tractor, but this thing is an extra 2 quarts. I don't really need it, but it'll help keep the oil a little cool. There's no bypass on it, so you're gonna get 100% filtration. And you know, what's better than putting a blue AC Delco GM part on a patinaed all black T-bucket? So I'm not one for pre-filling oil filters, but this is a big, big one. And we're gonna pre-fill this one. Normally I just slap it on and call it a day, but we're talking about 2 extra quarts here. So just to be safe, put a little extra in there, but not enough that it'll spill. I'm gonna try to flip it over and bolt it on. There's a big boy here. Should have added a little bit of black spray paint, get rid of that blue. Kind of getting Motorcraft vibes from this one. So compared to the Fram, that is one mighty large oil filter. And there's the Fram one there. I actually thought they were about the same size, but that is one big one right there. But it sits above the actual, well, the bars here. So as long as we don't hit any speed bumps doing about 100 miles an hour, I think we'll be okay. Now I didn't spend the big bucks on a valve cover, so we're just gonna have to push it right through one of the breather tubes here. And then instead of 5, we're just gonna do a total of 7. We should fill this sucker up just enough with the extra large oil filter here. We'll start it and warm it up, but I want to get a good baseline. Just a little idea of where we're at. Tell you what, this is about the worst dipstick in the world here. Thing leaks. Not quite. All right. Let's go for a quick spin. Check it again. Let's do a quick start here really quick. Oh yeah, one-handed that one. Whew. Let's start her up and see if we got that oil pressure. There we go, she's alive. Nice. Let's take a look at our little handy dandy list, see what else we got next. So, valve adjustment, yeah, we did them all again. We're done, we're done, we're done. Belt, say the belt is actually pretty good. We'll bring an extra one just in case. That's done. Oil change is done. Now, I'm hoping we don't break down. That's the goal, is to not break down. And because we're limited on space, thinking for my buddy and I, we're actually gonna pack clothes behind the seats here. There's just a little bit of space back there. There's enough for 5 days behind each one. But I do want to bring as much tools as I can. I know some of y'all are foaming from the mouth every time I walk past that. Don't worry, that build's coming. I look at it every day. But I want to do like a tool roll. And essentially, be able to pack everything we need in here, roll this sucker up. Obviously, it's going to be like 100 times bigger than this. And what I'm going to do is I'm just gonna strap this sucker to the front, either with some zip ties or some ratchet straps. It's not gonna affect anything. That way we have access to tools. There really isn't anywhere else to put this sucker. Could even put it up here, but it'll, I don't know, it might impede a little bit of the radiator. The way this is set up is half of it is actually a trans-cooler we're not using, and then the other half is the actual true radiator when I was looking at the schematic for it. But either up here, down here, probably gonna hear it rattle, but anywhere where we can bring as many tools. So we'll get that packed up, and then I've kind of been putting stuff aside here of things we're gonna bring, just some small stuff. Definitely not bringing any servos. I don't know how that made it in the pile, but some hose clamps, some hose, extra plugs, clamps, a few little screws. We'll just bring that just because. These all fit, so we're gonna bring that. And then I have essentially just a bunch of miscellaneous wrenches that all fit. And then we'll pack some sockets, hammer, and then probably a small impact driver I've got down here just in case. More for the trailer on the way up. Alrighty, so we got the test drive out of the way. Everything's good. Oil pressure's just a little high. Threw a zip tie on that. The throttle cable's kind of being wonky here. So when we get back, we'll replace that with probably a low car. And then, yeah, that should be all right. But we got to finish packing our tool bag here just in case. And so far, just got all the screwdrivers that fit, some extra parts here, and then some other spark plugs, some tape just in case we have to MacGyver some stuff. Some box end wrenches will add more, and then we're gonna have to probably, I added some extra fuel line. We'll grab just a few razor blades, just in case we gotta cut some stuff. And then, let's see, hose clamps. I think those are bypass. Just some extra security. We're probably not gonna need any of this, knock on wood. Oh, but we'll bring it anyways, because I don't want to buy any auto parts stuff. We have a razor blade, screwdrivers, we're good to go. We'll bring the impact driver. Just grab all of these here. So we'll roll this sucker up here. We're gonna mount it to the front, and then once we do that, we're gonna get the T-bucket loaded onto the trailer. So I ended up getting everything loaded up that night, hit the road. We're kind of about 17 hours into the drive from South Florida. Kind of like Nashville area or so, not really too sure, somewhere in Cheatham County, Tennessee, but she's doing pretty good. Plan is to head up to the property, unload this, then drive 200 miles to the starting point, and then there begins our total 1,000+ mile round trip for that. And then we'll pack it back up in the trailer and head another 1,000 miles home. So about total of about 3,000 miles in a 5-day period. It's a lot of miles. Yeah, that's the hobo bed up there. I ain't sleeping in the truck. Sleeping on our little scaffold there, considering we've been on the road for 24+ hours for a 20-hour trip. You should see where we threw Ethan, our passenger. He's kind of buried up there in all the junk. So a few more hours left before we hit Indiana. Then we'll get this thing unloaded, and I'll see you guys soon. What I'll be doing, get this thing locked up here. Nobody steals the T-bucket. So we'll be dropping videos every day. I'll be doing live drops if the reception's good. For day 0, we're gonna go to Hollyfest tomorrow for Sunday. I'll drop some videos for you guys there, so catch that. Monday through Friday, we're gonna be dropping videos every single day for you guys, so stay tuned. I'll see you soon.